tapping the hammer. Normally, what we have is what we would call the ceremonial matters, which is the salute to the flag, a prayer, and what we're blessed to have today is the Boys and Girls Club is going to come and do that for us. The start button is, I know, which is the start button?
Push it up.
Push it up.
Push the slide.
Okay.
Do your batteries low.
There's illness.
Okay, the Boys and Girls Club, Ms. Yvette, would you bring them up? Yes, we're going to do the prayer first, and then we'll salute to the flag. The flag is on the diet. Your name?
I'm Giselle. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us here today. I pray for protection over today. I pray for everyone to drive home safe after we leave here, Lord. And I pray that you give everyone the words to speak and the courage. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What normally happens is, what normally happens at the Boys and Girls Club, all of the clubs, at least whenever we have the board meetings, we have introductions, the prayer, and the saying of this club code. Now you're going to do the club code.
Sure.
Testing. With, I saw him walk in. Joey, does this work?
Is it on? The switch on the mic?
You can hear him.
Go ahead and say your name, and then we'll do the club code, okay?
My name's Janelle.
Everybody again?
We will, yes.
I believe in God and the rights to worship according to my own faith and religion. I believe in America and the American way of life, in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I believe in fair play, honesty, and sportsmanship. I believe in my Boys and Girls Club, which stands for all these things.
Thank you for having us. I'm Yvette, Unit Director of the Lake Helen Boys and Girls Club. We've been in your community for over 20 years now. We are an after-school program that operates Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. with the adjustments of early release during the school year. We are able to provide an after-school program at no additional charge these past 2 years, so we're really thankful for that. We currently serve anywhere from 80 to 90 members from the age of 6 to 18. We have 5 core areas that we run throughout the week. You'll see Ms. Janelle here. She is selected as in our leadership program, which she'll be running for our youth of the year locally. If she, God willing, wins that, then she'll go on to state. So we have several other programs. You'll see Mr. Justin, he's my second here, and you'll see him typically out in the community and on the field, and he runs our sports. And then we also provide after-school assistance when it comes to education. We have laptops available and assistance with homework time. So that's our education. And then we have our fine arts that we typically do that as well. So we have a lot of programs. I encourage you all to come by and visit. We do continue to grow, so we see the need in the community. So everything that we can do within the city, we will help you. Anybody, call on us. We're still getting the routine of everything, so we just want to be involved in a lot of the activities. So don't forget that we're here, and we appreciate what the city does for us. And we're looking to hopefully have a little more room too. We do have a small building over there. We appreciate every and anything, but with those numbers, we do get packed, and we do have to apply a waiting list. So I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I'll leave you some of our
Oh, yeah.
reports. We'll get new ones coming in soon.
Our Boys and Girls Club, or as you said, they're in the building that is donated by the city. There are about 85 kids per day that are in that club, but they have a roster that exceeds 120. Not all those kids are there at the same time, but they have the capacity to give our kids, and I don't know if you caught that there is no cost. I think the cost is $25 a year. My granddaughter was going in, my daughter passed, and it helped her tremendously. Imagine my granddaughter went to Volusia Pine. I got into school at 7:30, and from Volusia Pine, the school was out. A school bus picked them up and dropped them off in front of the gas station. Mr. Justin and assistant are usually out there to seek the kids and walk them to the club. The Ivy Hahn kids walk there, and there are a number of Ivy Hahn. She has a breakdown. The Ivy Hahn, as well as the Volusia Pine, and the kids go up to the age of what?
18.
18. So we have a diverse group of kids from a diverse part of our county, because the Ivy Hahn School is a charter school. And so their kids don't necessarily live in our district, which you see in the morning when the cars are pulling out. But it's an opportunity that that this program can assist the city in ways that we have not yet discovered, but we have a big empty space, and hopefully we can put some more utility to it. So with that, again, I thank Ms. Yvette, and she kept the kids here to 7, so if you guys want to leave, it's all great. At that point, I guess we'll take the roll call, and I'll start with Zone 1, Zone 2, here, Zone 3, Zone 4, and I'm here. Going through the ceremonial orders. Are there any deletions or modifications to the current deletions or modifications? I hear none.
I have some.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'd like to, first of all, delete 13A, retroactive contract with Central Florida Bobcat. I would like to add repairs to the water tower. We have some numbers for you tonight. And I believe Roger wants to add conservation lands.
I'm going to bring it up in the comments.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'd like to delete one and add one.
Which one are you adding?
Adding the water tower repairs.
Where do you want to make that?
Maybe the last one under the city administrator report.
Now, normally, what we do normally is that we go through our minutes and our meeting, and then we have our blue cards from speakers. Since we only have one, since there's only a few people here that have kids, and they'd like to speak now so that they could be excused. Is that okay? Connie Hughes, would you please come?
Connie Hughes, 386 North
See if
Lake.
that button is on.
Here we go. Connie Hughes, 386 North Lakeview Drive, Lake Helen. I just wanted to make everyone aware that the Legacy Project is holding their gala again on February 29th. It will be out at the same venue we used last year. Everyone is invited to come. The tickets are for sale now. And I'm proud to announce that we're honoring Elzada Fowler and Judy Hopkins this time as people who have helped Lake Helen to be a better place. And we hope everyone who can will come. It's an invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, to the minutes, the previous meeting. Any questions or? Lee, do you have anything?
No.
Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
We postponed several items last month, such as the request for water payment refund, if it was at the HOA. We also have pending approval of bid to refurbish the water tower. That we're going to add tonight, I believe. And are we going to add the sidewalks? Is that what you said tonight? So that's still pending. Okay. Do we have any idea when we'll be able to bring this back to the dais? There's a couple of other items.
So there are two. One is the sidewalks, and the other, as you mentioned, that were taken off last time. I was not aware of why they were taken off, but I've had no request to put them back on. So if the commission, whoever has that particular, I guess it's the HOA, wants to bring it forward, we'll schedule the next meeting.
It was my understanding on the sidewalks was we thought that we had all the research done on it and some monetary amounts, but we didn't. So we still don't have that.
No, we have it. Monetary is $21,000.
Okay.
But we had that last time too.
Okay.
So,
It's not gonna bring
but
it.
I think there was a question of why are we selecting one particular area of the city to repair sidewalks when we really have multiple areas that need sidewalks repaired. And I think that was the bigger issue. And again, I was never informed of why it was really taken off, but I suspect that may have been the case.
Okay. That makes sense because I know down in Lake Helen, there's some sidewalks 3.5 years. That happened every year. So I was just wondering about that. It's going to go back on or before the commission.
I understand the HOA, the president said we should bring it back at next meeting,
Next meeting.
or they would like to next meeting.
Okay. And then Mr. Eckert, he's going to be speaking this evening. He's on the agenda. I saw that. So I just want to make sure that I've got my minutes in order. That's it for me.
Okay. We'll start with 6 since Mr. Manana just mentioned. Stacy Eckert, Chairman of the Plan. I'm sorry. Motion and a second. Motion and a second of the minutes. Manana made a motion. Bishop second. We have a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? One registered. Ayes have it. Did you want to have you want a discussion?
No, Senate Rachel's last.
Okay, very good. Now we get to Stacy Eckert. Is he here?
Mayor, remember the vice chairman was going to substitute for
Okay.
Mr. Eckert, and I'm not sure if he's here because I can't see that one.
Is there anyone here to speak on that?
Vice Chairman is cooking.
Cookie's not here.
No, you would know.
We'll put that on the February agenda too then.
If he gets here. On to item B. We're going to recognize our police chief, Brandon Mullins, for 25 years of service. Presentation of the plaque and commemorating his 25 years. Is he here? I saw him. Oh, there he is. I'm sorry, Peter.
Probably down here.
That's Vernon's in this.
All right, Chief, position you right here. Go stand around you. You got your back.
Do you think it would be nicer if you had the backdrop of the flag and all behind you? Yes,
It would be,
nicer. It would be a nicer
then our photographer would
photo.
have to come up here.
I just stand up here, and she can stand back there.
Okay, you want to do this or want me to do it? Thank you.
Suggesting.
Okay.
It's his.
All right. Can you get us all in this picture? Everybody's here. This plaque is presented to Robert Mullins in appreciation for your 25 years of service to the City of New York, of Lake Helen Police Department, January 20th, 2024. Thank you for your service. Take it in one hand, I'll show you with the other. And just smile at her. And we'd also like to, we also have a presentation, citation with that. And we also would like to acknowledge Lamar Edwards Jr., recognition for academic excellence. Oh, this is the police department. Get it. Want to get that?
You got a few paragraphs to read off to about you yet. Every community across the United States have youth who stand out in their achievements. Later in this meeting, we will be discussing a program to recognize these young members of Lake Helen. This need has been brought to our attention by Commissioner Linda Donato. This program will be a great opportunity for Lake Helen to give back to the community and to show the world how our youth are achieving levels that may change the world they touch for the better. Tonight, we honor Lamar Edwards for his achievements and his outlook for the future. Lamar is a resident of Lake Helen, the only son of Lamar and Tabitha, and brother to Ken Natra and Lamar L. Lamar is an AD honor roll student at Spruce Creek High School in the class of 2025. He is an active member of the National Honor Society with a GPA of 4. I don't know if I got the number right. I got 4.4 or is it 4.3? 3. Lamar is going to Duke University with a major in engineering and a minor in baseball. As a varsity baseball player at Spruce Creek, he is looking to have a great spring. Now, how did he start his journey? Lamar was 3 years old when he started playing t-ball right here in his hometown, playing with a couple of his buddies, Rue Hanna and Cal Decker. They were coached by Ron Hanna and Joey Decker, along with a few others as time passed. Baseball is definitely his passion, and his biggest cheerleader is his mom, Tabitha. don't know if she brought pom-poms with her or not. Lamar had 2 invitations to Arizona last year to play in the All-Star and the All-American games, with hopes of going back this July 2024 to play in the national game. Not everyone receives these invitations. Lamar is ranked #1 for Florida, has a perfect game grade of 10, has an overall national ranking of 17, and is number 21 in the top 100 prospects for high schools in 2025. Now, allow us to introduce Lamar Edwards, who his mom says is just a kid from Lake Helen, and his family. If you would, please come up and receive our recognition. We also have a check for you that we will contact you when it is ready. Some of our staff is out sick. Congratulations. This is presented from the City of Lake Helen General Award to Lamar Edwards Jr. in recognition of your academic excellence and distinguished athletic performance from the citizens of Lake Helen this January 2024. And a certificate of outstanding achievement from the City of Lake Helen recognizing the same.
Representing Lake Helen like you do. The consent agenda. Acceptance of the bills that have been paid, or any comments or questions about those bills before we make that decision? Very good.
Right now, I understand that we have 2 systems that we're working on. One which is a building block, and Tyler. A clearing. We're paying for both of them. One of my questions is that we're looking at putting together the variance report budget, and that doesn't seem to be on the platform. I'm concerned at the amount of money that's being spent dually, not equal. We're using both of them. Tyler seems to be more detailed, easier to use. So if we go and we want to add a platform for a variance report, is that going to cost us more money, or that's just going to be?
No, the variance report that our finance director is discussing, or will be discussing in the workshop if you call one, is based on the Clarion software.
Okay.
And it's there is a difference in what's the word? The ease of use. The Tyler is based on a rather static base. And Clarion is more eclectic to your needs. You can design things specifically for the city's needs, eventually we will drop Tyler. Tyler is 25,000 a year, and Clarion is significantly less. It's about 8,000 a year at this point. But the difficulty with Clarion is we need to develop each of the modules for us specifically. We're in the process of doing that right now. But again, I think those are questions that would be best handled by Zach at the meeting. He'll be able to speak not only in the parents report, but the difference in software.
Well, what prompted my question is I keep seeing these double bills every time we look at paid bills. Another question I have is that affecting me, last month I went to a conference and my per diem and travel was $135, which was, within limits, and it had my name and the check number. Well, as I was going through the bills, I discovered there was another line item, travel per diem, for $700, let's say $90, with no name. So I had no idea who was traveling within a month at a cost of $795. As I started going through my research, it looked as though Con Evans, the contractor, that those dollars were paid to her for travel.
She would it would not have been for travel, though. It would have been for consulting.
Okay, well, it's listed under travel for me.
No, it was miscategorized.
Okay, so maybe we can clean that up
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll understand what's going on.
Those are easy.
Okay, and then I saw where it looks like we used the engineer, Derek, again last month. Can you tell me what kind of work he did?
Derek's under contract with the city for a multitude of things. One is we call the routine investigations. That is a contract which he draws from. We have citizens who will call the stormwater issues or conditions of paving or anything like that. He will come out. If it needs investigation, he'll come out and advise us on what to do, if anything, for those things. And he draws from that particular purchase order. Other things he's working on, as an example, is the engineering and planning of the water distribution facilities. That is a $500,000 project that he is working on. It will be the basis of our water facility distribution SRF loan. $500,000 is paid by a loan from them. And once he completes that, we'll go out another loan.
Okay. My final question, because I think probably we'll have workshops based on trying to straighten some of this stuff out with contracts. But looking at November's bill versus the payouts in December, we were like $51,000 more in payouts in December versus November, and City Hall was closed.
Are you saying totally?
Yeah, it was actually 51,105. I just rounded it off to 51,000 more than we paid in December. And I was just wondering, do we have a leak someplace?
Are you talking about a water bill?
No, just total payouts.
No. We have routine bills like everybody does at home, electricity, telephone,
Right.
computer. Those are regardless of months or seasons.
Right.
And then we have other activities that are sometimes going to build a quarterly, and they happen to fall in December at the end of the year type things.
Okay.
I don't have a specific answer, but I certainly can get one for you.
Yeah, it seemed odd that since City Hall was closed longer in December than it was in November, that we paid $51,105 more in bills. So if I can get an answer on maybe
Yes.
where
Again,
that
our
money went.
friend Zach will be here, and we can put that in part of his
Okay, that sounds
thing
good.
too. That's
Okay.
a very good question for Zach.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Any more questions? Or?
I see a line item for Colin and Zinger. I'm struggling with that, I apologize. For the 28.5, is that the total bill, or is there going to be any remaining fees associated with that service that was provided?
I missed the beginning of the $25,000 for what?
For Colin Benzinger.
No, that completes his.
That's the total invoice,
Yes.
there's nothing else?
Yes.
Okay.
Colin Benzinger was the measurement we used to get our city administrator.
That might explain half the 50,000 or.
Exactly.
Okay, so do we have a motion? Bill? Commissioner Bishop, make a motion. Commissioner Donato, second. Have a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None said. Bills have been paid. Old business. I'll let you speak to this one there, Lee. Retaining Ms. Con Evans for the purpose of filing an FOC application.
Correct.
Explain what that is.
Last month, I brought this up to your attention. There was a $5,000 consulting contract for Con Evans to assist the city putting together what's called an FROC application to the state that, if accepted by the state, would be accepted by FEMA and would be the basis of permitting claims to be paid without further investigation. The traditional method, which we're going through right now, we currently have a claim before FEMA, is that they have to ask for everything they want on every hurricane, on every occurrence, every emergency, as if it's a brand new subject they've never heard of before. The idea is to register this basic information through the FROC program. And as an example, we are already in the program to an amount of 20% through a rather simple application. And what that means is, if we have a hurricane next summer, we will submit our claim, and 20% will be paid immediately without further ado in terms of reimbursement. If you go through the FROC program, you go as high as 80% paid without further investigation. That would save your staff immense time. It facilitates the reimbursement very quickly. As you know, we only have the claim in now, so we've not received any of the approximately $180,000 amounts that we paid out through that process yet. And I'm not sure when we will. Again, we put the claim in about a month ago, and there's no indication of when they'll come back with either money or questions. So the FROC program, again, is to facilitate this, so everything they would normally ask for is on file, has been reviewed, has been approved, it meets the federal requirements, yada, yada, yada. It's a very complex application, and I'm just going to give you a couple examples of what they want to be submitted with the application. It's not simply a matter of checking boxes off. They want to have an emergency financial plan. We don't have an emergency financial plan. That's something that we're going to have to get through ZAC. It'll be coordinated by CON. Maintenance procedures policy, equipment inventory procedures, leasing and purchasing procedures. We have a purchasing procedure, but as you know, we want to review that because there are certain questions that I know the commissions have over the years. So one of the things CON would do is come back to the commission with revisions to that particular plan before we put this FROC program together. The Office of Inspector General wants to document procurement policies, code of conduct, employee handbook. They really get into you in a big way. So when they're finished, they'll know everything about you. But that's the idea. There's no need to ask again because they'll already have anything if they want to investigate further. It's already in the file. They want the latest audit reports. They want the corrective action plans for anything that has gone amiss in the past. They want internal controls and procedures spelled out so they can deal with those. They want our labor policy, they want written union agreements, they want internal controls and procedures, they want labor timesheets, equipment logs, internal controls and procedures. All of these things have to be put together. Of all of those things, we have probably, and I wasn't counting how many they are, but we probably have 3 or 4 of them. So all the rest are going to have to be written from scratch, presented to the commission for approval, and then put into the application for FROC. Now, I'm going to be gone. Jim will be here. Jim probably could do this if he had the time, but in all honesty, and I hope you appreciate the fact that for the first 6 to 9 months, he is going to be up to his earlobes in just dealing with things that have been ongoing with the city, questions, issues. I know the commission's been holding back some things about, well, when Jim gets here, we want to do this and that. So he'll be a busy puppy, and we need to have somebody on top of this to do it so we get it filed. It needs to be filed by, I believe it's July of next year, and if it is, it won't be effective until 2025. It still will be a year after that, well, actually 6 months after. So it's something we really need to get onto, get submitted. It's something that needs to be put together by somebody for continuity's sake. And so I'm recommending again that we retain Con Evans to work on just this particular program. An independent individual won't be doing anything else. She won't be sidetracked by any other requests. And her sole duty will be to fill out this form, gather the necessary documentation for all the things I mentioned. And some of them, quite frankly, are already available in other cities in some form. So plagiarizing may be bad in college, but it's not necessarily frowned upon in local government. So we can plagiarize other cities' reports or policies like that. Still have to be reviewed by you, but at least it's a start on many of these documents. So that's my pitch. I wanted to come back at you one more time because it's something that I think the city will suffer from if we don't do it. A lot of cities have already submitted all their plans and everything, but they have, as an example, the land. All of this is being handled by their fire department. The fire chief and the fire chief staff is doing all of this. We don't have a fire department, we don't have fire staff to speak of. So my request is that we do bring on Con for this particular topic and let her loose to do the job.
Okay, I have a question today. This FROC, was this process around when the last hurricanes had happened?
It brand new, just started, I would say 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay, so is it FEMA that was for the county?
It's actually the state and FEMA, and I don't know who started it, FEMA or the state, but somehow the state is running it, FEMA is cooperating. FEMA says if you bring us all this information and we can review it, then we will pay whatever the percentage is, depending on the applications made, up to 80% of claims immediately without further ado.
This is almost like a pre-approval for a loan.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
And the only thing, instead of being approved for a loan, you're being approved for an imminent disaster that will happen every year.
You will have dollar claims to submit to FEMA, and they will go through the process. FEMA will go through the process of reviewing everything you've sent in to make sure you have submitted and calculated according to what you've submitted. If you have, boom, you're done. That's it.
So this would be put into a portal, pretty much.
Correct.
And then the portal will then be adding to it,
yes,
as our specific claims are being paid or being submitted.
And right now, everything they want varies by storm, by condition, by whatever the emergency is, and it stays within its own little file. They can go back and inspect things, but they really don't do that. They basically just ask for it all over again. And that's what everybody's trying to avoid, is this duplication of, in Florida, you have hurricanes with some regularity anymore. They want to be able to just run it through a faster process as we're about to.
And this is the last year's storms that we've submitted have not been paid pending this being.
This won't pay.
No,
It's not, but it would have helped if we'd had this process.
It would have helped immensely, but the program didn't exist.
It existed.
But, you know, and what we'd like to do is get ourselves into the program as quickly as possible, so we don't, hopefully we won't have a storm next year. We have a storm in 2025, this program will be in effect. It'll be a tremendous time saver. As you know, Dominique and now Roxanne have spent a tremendous number of hours putting together all of the things that they requested for reimbursement, and they get duplicative, and it's hope nobody in the audience has worked for FEMA, but it really can be a pain.
Not when you do it right. We're missing how much stuff?
Well, we are missing a good deal.
We're missing a good deal that was not done properly, and that's the problem.
And that's exactly what
Well,
they want to see.
how is this going to help us? Because we're going to be missing the same stuff.
No, we won't. But what we'll have to do is we'll have to adopt all of these policies and procedures they're looking for, the ones that are listed, and a few more. They will review those at the state level and the federal level. They'll approve them or disapprove. If they disapprove, we got to modify them so that they do approve them, but then they're on file. Then when we submit a claim, the claim will have to be in the form of everything that we submitted. So it basically follows that outline, and there it is. I mean, they have the policies.
But if you break rules, if you get into this program and you still don't do your bidding process properly and any of that other stuff, you're still not going to get any money.
Correct.
You still have to follow all of it.
Right.
And the next opt-in date for that is September of this year. Will put you in for the end of 24 or 25.
Correct.
We missed the opt-in date, and we also missed the disaster readiness assessment.
Well, that's what this is.
Right, we'll miss this one though. So we've already missed two deadlines.
Yeah. The first one, we entered into the program, we registered, and we're able now 20%. The next deadline is September, and that's what we're going for, is to have all of this done by the September deadline. Your approvals, and then it goes into the state FEMA. And then it does become active, as you say, for 2025.
But why can't we just do things by the book with FEMA and then just go with FEMA? I don't understand.
Well, next year we'll have to, because we won't be in the program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the real reason that we're not getting our money from FEMA is not because, it's because we didn't follow specific rules.
No, we haven't heard that we're not getting the money.
Well, we're right there. It won't be long.
We have submitted the application, nobody's rejected it, nobody's paid it yet.
It's in that process right now.
Correct.
It's in the bill to be paid or denied.
Correct. Or questioned in some form or fashion.
Well, I think they've already questioned it to death, but.
Just so you know, there are multiple levels of FEMA. We have been working very closely with a program manager. She actually lives in Maine. Every 2 weeks, we meet with them on the phone, and she assists us in gathering the necessary materials, and she issues, not formally, but she discusses with us how we can improve our applications. But then once all of that happens, it goes to a whole nother bunch, but I think the closest one is in Virginia.
Well, the reason we've been working with her so long is because we can't give her the stuff she's been asking for.
We have had delays, no question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, but now all of that's it's in Virginia, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of a reaction we get from them.
Well, this isn't due until September, and all of these entities that have to be entered into with our disaster relief program and everything, I mean, that's stuff that has been asked about for a long time.
It's
And I don't
historic.
see why we should be an outside entity to do that when we can do that ourselves. I mean,
You can, if we have personnel. Now, Jim is, I hope you don't think Jim's going to have the time to do all this.
I didn't expect it all on Jim. I mean, the commission, somebody's got to
Well,
put together this.
then you have one other person,
Yeah, I know.
and this is a big deal.
And how long are we expecting this to take with Con, and how much is the bottom?
Well, the deadline
It's
is-
$90 an hour.
Well, but the dollar limit is 5,000, so she can't spend any more than 5,000.
So if we spend $5,000 with her and she doesn't complete this, then what? We give her another
Well, then
$5,000?
you ask why she couldn't complete it. And that's something that Jim would have to monitor the contract to see how much progress is being made, you know, what's the holdup, what is causing any delays, if there are any. Now, as I said, plagiarism is not a bad word in local government. It is apparently in Harvard, but it's not. So we know other municipalities have already completed all of these programs, or all these policies, procedures, all the things that have been accepted. If they've been accepted by the state and the Fed, we have to go through them, obviously apply them to whatever City of Lake Helen standards we would like to have, meaning the commission. But then the immense amount of the legwork is already completed. So if that's, and I think it's the case. You know, it's interesting because the open records law is an interesting law, because now we can request from our sister cities and counties all the things that we need to put together. And that will really speed up the process. And we don't have to recreate the wheel every time there's a request like this. Every city that wants to participate in this, and every county in the state, there's 465 cities, has to do, if they want to, and they should, they're stupid if they don't, participate in this program. So they're all putting together these same requirements. So why should we reinvent the wheel? Why don't we just get these and make them our policies? And now, by making our policies, I'm saying, approved by the commission, then they become our policies, and they're part of our package that goes in. So I don't think it's going to take that much time or dollars unnecessarily for her to do it, but then she'll have the continuity of working through the entire program.
Okay. I'm having a problem with the contract. Mr. Simpson and I discussed it.
Is your microphone on? I don't hear it.
Can you hear me now? This contract just drives me insane. We're going back, it's amended, the first contract's amended. I'm kind of under the impression that she's almost completed the first contract, there's only a few $100s left in the first contract at the $5,000 plan. Now we're amending it, which I don't see where we're adding, saying, okay, there's another pan of $5,000. But, I mean, she just started this last August, and we're in the first quarter, and still the duties, this is why I'm having a problem. It doesn't seem to flow, because under the duties for Ms. Khan, it states, the consultant will undertake duties as assigned by the city administrator, which include, but not limited to, the following. Assist in the day-to-day duties of the city administrator, including but not limited to agenda creation, minute taking, transcribing, record compliance, election compliance, planning projects, emergency management, utilities, legislative duties, budget planning, and other projects of similar nature as assigned by the city administrator. It doesn't mention anything in the original contract about FEMA, and we've discussed this. There's nothing there other than any and every other thing that the city administrator assigns you to. Well, that's sort of a blanket thing that's added on those applications.
The intent was to have a master contract, and then you would have assignments that were made under that with dollar limitations. The first one was the FEMA application for $5,000. That's been completed. This now would be another separate assignment for $5,000. But it's not going to be, this person's not another employee. They have no fringe benefits. They're there simply for the duties and responsibilities of filling out the FROC application. It'll be up to the new city administrator to make sure that's what it's limited to. And then if you wanted to, or he wanted to use her for anybody else, you have to come back to the commission for financial approval. But it's just somebody that we can use for these, I don't want to call them odds and ends, but these individual projects that come to the city from time to time.
Okay, so I think that answers my question. This this original project was to include any and other things.
Other projects
Exactly.
that have, but
But it never
nothing's been approved in dollars except the first one. What I'm asking you is to allow me to put her to work for another project, what I'm talking about for FROG, with a $5,000 allocation.
Right, but as Mr. Simpson said, we're just amending the first contract.
Well,
So,
you're amending the first, but the first contract is no different than my contract. You have a contract that says this is how much you pay me. You lead whoever gives me tasks to do under that contract. Now, we don't do a separate work authorization. What he wants to do is we have a contract that says, okay, we're retaining you to be our special consultant, special projects consultant. And then we'll bring individual work authorizations. That's why this is called work authorization number 2. You already approved work authorization number 1. This is work authorization number 2 for the FO. So work authorization number 1 was to assist with the, I guess, filing of all the documents with FEMA. So now we would like to have another work authorization to have her work on what's described in work authorization number 2.
okay.
So it's really the first contract, the main contract just retained her, but how that money gets spent and comes back to you for approval on work authorizations. That's how they wanted to set it
Well,
up.
I've got all the invoices.
Well, but there's a work authorization, like this is work authorization number 2.
Okay, well,
Commission approves it, and then she will submit invoices in as she works under that work authorization.
Well, there's one other problem that I'm having is with the compensation. We're saying that she's going to be working at an hourly rate of $90 an hour. And then we get down into that paragraph, and the consultant will include travel time and billing at 1/2 the consultant's hourly rate, remember, is $90. And if one-way travel to client exceeds 30 minutes. So are we not then saying we're going to pay you an additional $45 because we're paying you half of the $90 rate?
For travel.
That's what it says. Yeah, for travel.
She wouldn't make 90 plus 45.
Well, it says the client will be responsible, she'll be responsible for payroll.
Scott reminds me.
To include, it says she
Yeah.
can bill that plus the 90.
Well, not unless she's on the phone with us working, but in other words, that's to cover her travel time.
The $45.
Yeah,
If it's 30 minutes,
Yes.
and I looked it up, she lives 20 miles away, travel time's 35 minutes.
Right.
But either way, whether it's 20 miles or it's 35 minutes, she's gonna get $45 included. And am I correct in saying that?
if you're correct in saying she is going to be reimbursed for travel time, yes.
Right,
But
it's
it's not
$45.
doubling up. She won't be charged $90 plus 45 for her travels to us. It's only 45, not 90 plus 45.
But once she gets there, won't she get paid the $90?
Then she'll get, once she starts working,
And then when she leaves,
then she has
She gets
another $45 back home.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's what
And
I'm
this
saying.
is,
I'm
Scott
just,
reminds me that this is exactly the way our engineering contract is too. The engineers, if they come over to investigate, it's $150 an hour. Whether from them leaving their station to coming here and working. Now that's every contract you'll find in engineering has some sort of compensation for travel. Now, again, I'm just coming back the second time. You didn't approve it the first time. You don't want to approve it this time. I'm not going to be here next week, next month.
it's just the contract.
But you're still not going to have an FROC application process.
The contract's just bothering me the way it's written. I would rather see, okay, she's paid out, she maybe still has $200 on the books, add that to a new agreement and start clean again, and certainly not pay $45 in travel fees.
All of her costs will add up to no more than $5,000, whether it's for travel or for anything else.
Yeah, but she just started in August, and this is she's almost completed that $5,000.
She completed that 5,000, and there's no guarantee that what she did is going to. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Starting another
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to withdraw this request. This is becoming humorous.
Okay. Before you do that, anyone else want to ask? Let me ask you these questions. What was the last application that we applied for storm?
It was Hurricane Matthew was before that. Ian and
Do we have a number on that? What amount?
Ian and Nicole, the 2022 storms.
About how much was that storm?
Total submission is about 180,000.
180,000. Did we get any of that?
That's what's in process right now.
Okay, so we had a storm that was for 180,000. We didn't have the proper paperwork, but we didn't get paid.
No, that's not true.
I'm just asking a question.
We had time. Let's just say we were slow in submitting because we had to gather the paperwork in the right fashion, the right methodology, and they wanted to see this, they wanted to see that. Several times we had to submit the same thing 2 or 3 times. But eventually we got it all together.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing with you.
eventually we got it all together and submitted it.
We didn't have all the paperwork in the timely fashion and the exact paperwork.
We're correct.
Okay, so now how much was that? $180,000 that we did not get?
Round numbers, yes.
Okay, is that money that has already been spent because we did get
Oh,
everything
yes.
done? So,
It's total reimbursements, yeah.
okay, so our contractors are okay. They did what they were
Oh,
supposed to
they've been paid a long time ago.
Okay, so right now, we're trying to get paid, and the FEMA is the one who's going to reimburse us.
Correct.
So now this new program, how long did you say this program was?
The FROC program, you go through several stages. We've already
When did it begin?
Stage 1.
When did it begin?
And if we have a storm, next.
She's asking when did it begin?
When did the FROC begin?
FROC has begun.
I mean, the creation of it. When was it started? When was it? Was it 4 months ago, 6 months ago?
August.
Okay, so before August, we didn't have FROC.
Correct.
And before August, we would be doing what we did last year.
Correct.
Okay, so FROC would then provide us a blueprint or a cookie cutter that before the storm happens, before we close down City Hall, before we do anything, we have a process in place so that our vendors who comes to clean up, we just fill in the spaces that the vendors are doing to do their cleanup. We're going to pay them, but the FROC is going to provide us the mechanism so that we can get reimbursed.
And it also requires us to formalize all of the things they said we did informally. So that our application will be much easier to produce next time. And when we do produce it, it'll be much more quickly paid because it'll already be in the form that they require.
And by formalizing, it means that I see Big Dog back there, and the guys that for years and years have been cleaning up this city after hurricane with no real reimbursement to speak of. We came up with this program to try, not we came up with it, but somewhere along the line we figured out that if our roads are being cleaned and we have contracts that can do it, if there's a way that we can get them reimbursed and still get the same service. We wake up and there's nothing in the roads. So they've done their jobs. They're trying to get paid. So now here comes along FROC that says that evidently these cities have been messing up so bad that we want to help them out. Here is a pre-application. It's like being pre-qualified for a mortgage or being pre-qualified to buy a car. I'm not buying a car yet. I need a car. But who do I need to speak to? Well, the bank that I'm going to work with, I'm going to fill out an application. They do all the background check. They do everything on background. They do the credit check and say, okay, you are now eligible to buy a car. And any place you go with this pre-approval, you can get a car. Am I on the right track?
I think you are.
Okay, so now FROC And you and I have had this discussion, so I'm hearing about this pretty much as we go along. But it does give me some part of satisfaction to know that there is a program in place and that there's someone, possibly, what's her name?
Con Evans.
Ms. Evans, that may have some insight and have the dedication to get this done. Now, if it's $5,000 to get it done, and she does it right, then everybody's happy. Okay? If we try to nickel and dime it and do it ourselves, and we wind up right back where we were last year, nobody's happy. So at least we have somebody to blame. If we don't get the proper information submitted. Now, I guess the other thing I'd like to ask, is there a portal or is there some part where there's going to be where maybe the commissioners could sit in on hearing how this, usually they have some sort of a tutorial or some sort of a workshop that they can give you that same information that maybe she has already done, and if we could go ongoing, if we could have that opportunity.
And there is webinars on.
Yeah.
Webinars?
There is a webinar.
So the webinars are basically open to anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so the commissioners to plug into it. And like you say, I like the part that you said that because of the freedom of information, that cities that have done it right have already provided the paperwork that's needed. That's public information. So if we have any, she, her, ever can go to a city that's already completed their application and pull it up and get an idea of what it is that we need.
Exactly.
And so that's an advantage. That wasn't around before August.
That's a big advantage, yes.
So we're moving into the 21st century here, and that's pretty much, I wouldn't doubt that there's an AI program that could do the whole thing for us to get it all out of the way. But I'm hearing this, and I want this to work because, God knows that, the guys that have done the work that has been done for the city, and I know they don't necessarily have it begging us to do the work, but the fact that we have them and they're going to continue to do it, I believe, I'm not going to speak for Big Dog, but I'm sure even if we don't get this program processed, those guys are still going to be out there. So we need to work with this. This is something, this is a tool, and anything that you use properly, you get proper results. So I'm believing on this, and this contract may have some pieces to it that we might need to still go over, but I don't, right now, do we have anybody else that has this process? Is anybody, if we don't use this person, do you have anybody else that we could possibly?
Not really, but we could find somebody. Okay. This particular person has 11 years as a city administrator in Florida, so they're familiar with governments. The program is new, so there aren't that many people that really are familiar with having submitted an application, other than those already in other cities that have submitted it. So,
what's the deadline for completion before it's going?
But she's familiar with cities and how we operate.
Is there a deadline to have this form completed?
Yes, September.
It's just like if you got if your insurance policy lapses and a hurricane gets in the Gulf, you can't get insurance until the hurricane is over. Are we in some sort of a time frame that if we are going to have this done before the first big storm, there is a process?
We will not be in it until 2025.
So we will skip.
No matter what, we can't get in it before 2025.
We have to have
Say that again.
Anything that happens in 2024 will not be covered by EFRA.
Correct.
We cannot opt in until the 2025.
But to do that, we have to have our application, and as you indicated, by September.
The opt-in has to be by September
Of the
30th
application.
of 23 or 24, yes.
But if we have a storm late in September or October, it wouldn't be covered.
Right.
Because we wouldn't be accepting it.
Right. And the other thing, I want to make it perfectly clear. We can opt into this FROC program, but if we do not follow every guideline, same as with FEMA, they're not giving us any money.
We have to comply with our own policy.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, which,
Right, we do. And it has an advantage for the city staff too, because now we will have a very clear outline of all the policies that you'll adopt for every conceivable opportunity. So we will come up with a very clean application from the start, because it follows all of our requirements.
I think with the advent of a new city administrator that's coming into he's basically going to have to be working with a clear board. This is going to be on his table. I think that the effort that he's going to have to put into this would be the same effort that, because if you were still here and you now know this program, you would have to see to it that it got implemented properly. So I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody please help me. If there is a program such as this, we have a new city administrator, whatever it is that he's bringing to this table, he could either give us the advantage to see to it that he gets done, because he's not looking to get past 1 year with a messed up hurricane disaster. And that 1 year is actually, you said it don't take place until 2025.
Correct. If we get our application in by September of this year, we will be eligible for disaster relief starting in 2025.
I appreciate the fact that you brought this back. I appreciate the fact that you brought it up with maybe the fact that we're transitioning out of mayor and commissioner. So now we're here in a new staff, and you're on your way out, so you could have just closed the book on this and said, you'll go for yourself. So if we don't do this meeting, I can't really say what our new city administrator would say in looking at this. So, Scott, what is our options here as a contractually agreement or
I mean, you can wait to see to let the new administrator address this issue if you want his input. It will be a good thing to have in place. I'm personally of the opinion that FEMA's going to pay you when they have money. Y'all aren't any different than a lot of other cities. I asked Holly Hill, y'all been paid by FEMA? No. They did everything right. They followed the county's rules. They followed the piggyback county's contract, everything they did. And you may get some FEMA money, but you got to ask the question, did you get debris removal money? That's what we're talking about. Cities have gotten money for structural damage to buildings, to docks, to seawalls, things like that. Holly Hill hasn't seen a penny of debris removal, and they followed it. Well, they have and that's what we're looking for, is debris removal. So I don't think you're sitting too differently than any other city as it relates to debris removal. At least I can tell you from Holly Hill's perspective, I represent Holly Hill. They meet with them every 2 weeks, just like Lee said. They have not gotten any debris removal money. And you probably heard, government's close to shutting down, right?
Yeah.
Well, when they shut down, how much money do you think FEMA gets? Zero. You know, this is a money issue. Last summer, Holly Hill was told, do not expect any money until 2024. You know, so, you know, we've done this same process historically, and eventually the city does get reimbursed. You know, we've done this same process that was started under Jason Yarko. It's the same process that we're doing right now. So it's just FEMA drags their feet to pay on this debris. They really do. And I think it's a lack of funding issue. So
because it gave Seminole County $50 million.
what's that?
Seminole County got $50 million for debris removal.
Holly Hill hasn't gotten
That's
any.
probably why.
I mean, I can tell you Holly Hill hasn't. I mean, I asked him because of what you said. I asked him, have you gotten paid? He laughed at me. He goes, I'm not aware of any cities.
So if the government shuts down, then the state Florida probably not going to give it to us either.
No, I think it's just an issue of, and I got involved years ago with Holly Hill when they were having an issue with them, and they rotated in these review teams back then. And I just came to the opinion, I just told the guys, why don't you just, instead of keep sending in a new review team and make us answer the same questions and give you the same documents over and over and over, just tell us, you don't have any money. You're approved, but you're still gonna take a while to get paid. That would save us all the time and effort of having to go through and answer all these questions multiple times. And they just don't do that. So I think this process, if it works the way they say it would work, would be great. But if the federal government doesn't release money, we're still waiting for money. So it's just, you're not an outlier. I just want to make you know, I've talked to Holly Hill, they're doing the exact same thing. Like,
okay, quick question. I'm under the impression, and maybe I'm mistaken, but this reimbursement that we keep talking about, it sounds like the mayor keeps saying that we're going to be reimbursed fully, but my understanding of it is that they would only reimburse us 20% out of the gate if we're approved.
And that's for this is the FROC program that I think.
The FROC program.
And we can build up that percentage.
That's the second part of the contract.
The application we're talking about, which is the disaster preparedness application, could take us up as high as 80%. Right now, we're only at 20. We need to do this next application to bring up our reimbursement. Now, we get reimbursed for 100%, but they wouldn't question the first 80%. So they only question 20%.
And I think
so. It eases the questioning that they do.
I think the issue is, you know, I don't think the federal government would FEMA reimburses 100%. I think they go to 80 or 85%, the state kicks in 7%, and the city never gets reimbursed because the city has to put in a certain percentage, 5% or something like that. There's always some percentage that seems like it's not going to get reimbursed. One option, if you want to come back to it, there's a contract issue. Maybe say that you want a price for completing the FROC application, not where you're going to work on the FROC application up to $5,000 because we only need 10% through. Maybe the better thing to do is say, we want a price for completing the FROC application.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that what's listed here? Because we have complete FROC, DRA, and then the second portion, task number 2. And so it says 5 to 8 hours, 22 to 30. So the low end, I'm calculating it to be $2,300, $2,330. On the high end, to be $3,420. So I don't understand how we would possibly hit that $5,000 mark. So maybe that would be the revision that's needed.
And maybe to clarify, to say, are you saying that you will complete the initial application of everything for FROC for these estimates, these price groups, as opposed to a sense of concern that it could be an hourly rate, so you can spend up to $5,000, but we may only get 50% done, and that's not really what we're signing on for. Maybe we need to confirm that her proposal is to complete the application. Now, some of that completion of the application, or a lot of it, she's going to come in and she's going to make recommendations that this body then has to act on, obviously. So it's a joint effort to complete this application. There's going to be things y'all have to adopt, staff going to have to work with her on, I'm sure. I have really honestly no idea what. Probably going to work a lot with, Rick Mullins, public works director, and involved in this too. So it's going to be a staff involved in helping get this done. She can help bring forth the this is what I recommend you adopt. It's in the commission to adopt.
And the application task 2, as Mr. Rutledge was speaking about, review, amend, create policies and procedures needed to improve the score. That's task 2. So that sounds like there is a number of things that will have to be done if they're not done, a number of things that need to be procedurally correct. And her contract appears that she's prepared to do that. The first task is to complete the form, and then to see if that needs to be reproved. If the first class is to complete the form and it can't be done because there are things that need to be done, then we move down to task 2. We're going to review it, we're going to amend it, and we're going to create policies and procedures needed to improve the score. What is the score? Lee? What is the purpose of the score?
That's a 20 to 80%.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you try to get up to the 80%.
On the
I
second,
can
we
tell
only
you how
number
it's
20 automatically. We send in our new application, they will score that. And we could go as high as 80, we could be at 62, we could be at 67, depends on how they score it. Meaning they will score it according to our application being in compliance with their request.
You get 20% for post-disaster questionnaire for forms and training, so you have to do the training. And then you get 40% for just 40 points for disaster readiness assessment. And then you get another 20% for your baseline. So that's just, so you can get 80 points is the highest that you can go.
Yeah.
You're going to start out at 20.
And that's where we are. We already have 20.
Well, except that we can't opt in yet, so.
No, we are opting in for 20.
Well, we can't actually opt into the program because the cutoff date's already.
No, we opted in before the cutoff date for that first 20%. So we are in the program at 20%. The next application is the disaster preparedness one. We have to, that's this particular one.
Yeah, and that cutoff on that one was 12/31. That didn't get put in, right?
No, this one did not get put in by 12/31, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we can't opt in until 25.
For that portion of it, correct. But we are in for the first 20%.
Can I say that?
There's a call from the back. You have a big stake in this, so I'll be interested to hear what your input is. Say your name.
Has, this is, anyway, it's all fine. Just quick, maybe just take a minute, a little common sense, backtrack a little bit. Has anybody asked Jim, our new city administrator, how up to speed or how comfortable he is with FEMA in the past? Has he had to deal with this? He might be a pro at this and be like, I don't need con edits. But he also could be very green and not aware of things, and you need con edits. So maybe a conversation before.
The good answer to that is that based on the back and forth of the contract, he did not get the contract actually signed on both ends until the 5th.
I'm saying, like, how much experience has he had
Well,
with
that's
that?
what we don't know, and that was
Okay.
that was because he didn't get the actual contract signed that gives him a actual date to start, which is February 5th. So up until this point in time, we were just sitting paper back and forth.
I just didn't know, like a phone call tomorrow, be like, hey, how,
that would be,
I got this, or
that would be
I ain't got a clue, and that would answer your
be
question.
my definite point to ask for, because that's the one thing that I've been able to do in speaking with him on a regular basis. I just never asked him this.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, that was all my opinion of it. If he's a pro and like, hey, I've done 6 storms and I know the drill, step aside.
Well, he's up in an area that's had 3 or 4 national disasters in the past 3 months, so I'm sure he probably or his team is.
That's all I have to say.
Any city manager is familiar with FEMA, but this particular program is brand new.
Alan, to answer your question, in our private interview between Mr. Blaze and myself, I did discuss FEMA issues with him, and he is up to date on how to file and work through FEMA issues.
So maybe
That's one of the questions.
he'll be seated next month, and you can maybe bring this up to him, and he'll either bless it or say, hey, we need this, or he'll say no. So maybe put it off the next meeting is the best thing to do.
The only concern I have is that the timetable between August and now, this program just went into effect in August, so it might give him an advantage to, before he gets here, to look it up and to even communicate. That was my whole transition question to Lee. How in the world do you guys, as city administrators, get a whole new charter and get up to speed? Well, there is a dialogue that I guess that they have and have to have. And the fact that we're going to have Lee here for 14 days after he gets here. So some of these things, hopefully they can be folded in to come up with a cohesive answer. And What? No motion? Moving right along. Okay, the Youth Recognition Program. Is that what we just did?
No, that's a new program created because, that we want to create because of what we did tonight.
Okay. We have some conversation on that?
Yeah, I've done some research into what different cities do. You know, there's a lot of different criteria, different types of awards. You know, there's obviously Citizen of the Year, things like that. The ones that I see that are given to youth are, especially if it's any type of monetary, it's a scholarship that they offer. City of St. Augustine does $200 scholarship. All the way up to what I've seen, the City of Sunrise actually gives 2 scholarships for 60 credit hours, which is pretty significant, but it's for a Florida college. And the criteria I've seen is, I've been trying to find something more specific than a lot of what I've been reading, but it deals with, like the City of Sunrise, you gotta have, you know, good student, but they don't say exactly what you need to qualify in terms of GPA, but there's income thresholds to qualify for the City of Sunrise. You got to have a certain income threshold. I didn't look into what their income thresholds were. Other ones, they look for, you know, community service work. I haven't found any that's based on athletics. It's usually based on leadership in the school, community service work, things like that. I've seen some that restrict it to residents. The ones for kids I've all seen are related to seniors, people who are graduating, probably because they're scholarship based. And some of these are limited to just residents. Others are awards don't limit to residents, but I assume they have to have the community service and the deeds that they've done to qualify for this within the jurisdiction, even if they don't live in the jurisdiction. So I think, I don't know if it's a workshop or discussion by you all as to exactly what do you want this to be. How much money do you want to set aside for a scholarship for it? You know, do you, is it going to be seniors only? I know it's a youth award. You know, the only ones I've seen so far are youth awards are seniors only, because I think it's a scholarship-based thing. And like I said, it's leadership in the school, community service hours, which students have to get community service hours anyway. It's part of graduation, is part of your Bright Futures program. So I think you got to get so much community service. So there's a wide range of things that we can kind of set up. Those are kind of the parameters I've seen so far. But I'm not sure if that fits what y'all are looking for. You know, maybe you don't want to limit it to seniors. Maybe you prefer it not be. I haven't seen where anybody gives just money directly to the person. They refer to it as a scholarship. I know now a $200 scholarship. I mean, it's called a scholarship. It's still give a check. But the one for Sunrise, it's directed to Florida schools. You get 60 credit hours paid for by the city to most Florida colleges, is what it says. So that's a pretty significant program. That's expensive. I'm not sure that's what y'all are looking at. But then, you know, like the individual who's just up here, he's going to do. Wouldn't help. You know, that program wouldn't really help him. He's going to an out-of-state school. So if you limit it to Florida, you know, it's credit hours within the state of Florida. Florida college, that's not going to help. So I've just seen a variety of things. So I think what would be helpful is what kind of criteria you're looking for, and the dollar amount the city's willing to do. How often do you want to do the award? You know, you got to set up, you know, the nomination process, and then the review process. Is it done annually? Is it done quarterly? There's actually different cities do different things. So there's kind of open-ended in that respect. So probably just need a little bit more guidance. I don't know if you want to set it up. Y'all are going to have just my opinion, you're going to have a few workshops when Jim gets here and working with him, and maybe this is something y'all can discuss, you know, in a workshop with Jim trying to set this program up. Maybe he's been involved in one of those programs, that he might have some guidance on it. But we can definitely do it. We just have to come up with the criteria, the nomination process, the eligibility process, who you're, the criteria for the applicants that you want. And then we can, put something together that y'all can adopt, and we have a formal policy that we can then implement moving forward.
With the experiences I have with the organization Boys and Girls Club, the Brady Union Life Center, one of the things they set up is the entity itself is not the funder, but they get sponsorships. They set up an event, and from that event, you create sponsors, or you have some event like we just had a 5K, or have an event where some scholarship awards can be given at a dinner, have what do you call it, a dinner here, sell tickets, the tickets will go for scholarships.
I didn't look into that.
Out of the city, but
I didn't look into how they do it. Based on what I've looked at, I would probably say contacting the city of Sunrise would be a good one, because that's the most expensive award. They give 2 scholarships a year for 60 credit hours. That's pretty pricey. So if anybody was going to do a fundraiser to help fund it, it would be the city of Sunrise. And they do 2 of those. So they're in essence giving a 4-year degree, the cost of a 4-year college education every year. They do it every year, based on their website. So that would probably be a good city to see how they fund it. But I can understand doing that. Set it up that way.
Yep.
I appreciate you
No
looking
problem.
into that.
It's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I just feel that all of the outstanding youth in the Lake County deserve some kind of recognition. They're falling by the wayside. I've talked to parents out here. Their kids come from good homes, but now they're kind of falling to the wayside. Lamar, who received the reward tonight, he would even be willing to take his time, his personal time, go to the baseball field, Mitchell, or whatever it's called these days, and work with other younger students, which could be something that could be looked at as well, participation in community work.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
community
think
service.
this is, and he is already doing community work, and I think this would be a workshop issue.
One of the things when I first started researching it, the things that were popping up were youth advisory councils, where you would bring youth in and let them create their own commissions to help provide it guidance. I'm not recommending that, but I'm just saying when I first researched it, that was the thing that popped up a lot, with these youth advisory commissions.
League of Cities has one.
Yeah, maybe, I think I saw that.
It's something that the city would have to sit down with the League of Cities to do something like that, to get the youth involved in the government. And it teaches them about government, the process of how things work in the government.
I think you're advocating for it. I just said I saw it.
I think we have one of the best examples of the youth programs that have programs that Boys and Girls Club has facilitated numbers of not so much grants, but programs that bring kids along, and the count of the amount of resources that an organization such as Boys and Girls Club can bring to bear. We just put up an article that we're going to have a program at G Club, Hard Rock and Fed. They just write checks. I mean, but so my point is that we don't really have to reinvent the wheel. We may need to partner with some other organization that's doing it on a regular basis for kids, has a reputation, has the expertise, and we basically, they owe us, Boys and Girls Club, because of the building that we provide. So I don't think we're fully utilizing the resource that we have here in the city, because most of the commissioners have never, anyone ever been to the Boys and Girls Club?
Yes.
On a regular basis, before Lee, when I got here, Lee said he hadn't been there in 3 years. So the fact that it's here and we can take it for granted because we don't really see a lot of cars out there. Because the kids are dropped off, and sometimes I actually forgot how many kids until I walked in there and saw 80 or 90 kids sitting there doing their work. So I'm just saying that there's a tie-in that we could not necessarily have to reinvent the wheel, just ask some program developers is how we do that. Paulette?
Paulette Smith, 840 West City Light Road.
Can you, is that Michael?
Is it? I told out,
Just recorded.
okay, I know Scott was saying something about he never seen money given out to athletes. I ran a youth football program for 15 years before I gave it up. We got scholarships from the county of Volusia, Weed and Seed, as well as the city of DeLand. I also had sponsors outside, but like you said, we gave it to a program. And like I said at the last meeting when we was talking about Lamar, he go to a lot of camps. Camps are expensive. We could have sponsored him for a camp. That would be one of the ways. I also received money for my youth football program and my after-school program. It's like Boys and Girls Club, but it's through West Volusia PAL. We also received confiscated money. We also got money from Jacksonville Jaguars to sponsor these kids. So it's sponsoring youth, but we just need to find somewhere, an avenue to sponsor it. Say for instance, it could go up under the sheriff department for a mentoring program or something. There's things that we can bring to the city to keep the few youth that we do have intact instead of, like she said, falling by the wayside. That's all I have to say.
Nancy?
Just want to suggest not just scholarships, but for college, four-year college, but trade schools. There's a lot of things that go through the Legion for Boys and Girls State, which is, if you're not familiar with that, it's a very outstanding program through the high school, and only select kids are chosen. Sometimes these kids are chosen on their they're always chosen on their academics, but they can't afford certain things that go along with it. And this would be a great program if they were honored enough to be chosen. This could help them afford to go and make that easier.
You know, they say that it takes a village to raise a child, and there's a lot of things that our city could probably do better in. Looking outside of our city, where we see other entities doing things that can help us. The most famous, I'll say, thank you. All right. I'd be remiss if I did not refer to Devon Sago, my niece. That's Gloria White's granddaughter. She grew up, she went to Volusia Pine. She was always in the art school, honor class, and from there she got to go to University High School, where she dual enrolled, and she had high school and college credits. In her third year of high school, she opted not to go out of high school, but she wanted to graduate with her class. So the last year in high school, she was fully accredited with 1 year of college. When she graduated with a scholarship to Princeton University because she wanted to be an attorney. There were Dennis Geyer, we had to, we were raising money to send her to D.C., Washington, D.C., because it was the president council that she was going to be sitting on. He wrote a check $500. Chief Chester also participated in bringing money in for this young lady. Now, I often point to her, sometimes, the Bible talks about, does anything good ever come out of Jerusalem? Does anything good ever come out of Lake Helen? Devon Sego. And now, after she graduated from college, again, she's a year ahead of time. So what she did, she went to Africa and studied and to help teach kids over there. When she came back from Africa, she then went to Georgetown University and got a Jewish attorney. She's now a practicing attorney. What do you call it? She wanted to be a civil rights attorney. She came through this process. It started over there at the police station. People donated money to her success. We're looking for forms and processes here, but the simplest part of it is that there are kids that we just connect ourselves to. In that Boys and Girls Club, there are a number of kids that I've been dealing with as a mentor. And you'd be surprised how little it would take for the residents to ship in over there, be a mentor. So I think we have the resources to do it. We just need to want to do it.
We've discussed those topics on this. We have a consensus on everybody wanting to put this in a workshop where we go into it deeper like we're doing now.
Make a motion.
Don't have to have a motion, consensus, it's a workshop.
Okay. So we're going to have a workshop. Is that a consensus? Okay. Add that to the list. And we can move on. Sometimes I don't think the history is exciting and as sexy as some of the other things, but just being here, we can speak about whatever we speak about. This is the only time we can get to speak about it. So whatever you think about it, you can't do it unless we're in this position. Okay, moving right along. Consent agenda, bills are paid. Ms. Khan's contract was, I didn't get to it here, just going down, I think we were already done. The youth program. Then the next one is the Stress Buster 500, 5K. Kelly, you want to do the honors?
Are there any questions in regards to the information that you've received that I can start on? Before I give an update?
Good.
Did you guys receive these pie charts
Yeah.
also? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this year, our Stress Buster 5K, we had 916 registrants. Now those, out of the 916, those were all participants that ran through the race. That is up 91 participants from last year, so that is a great number that we have risen from. This year, we had several sponsors. So our registration, let me go back to our registration. This year, we raised $20,223.20 in just registration alone. And in sponsors, we raised $10,450. So altogether, obviously, that is $30,673.20. That's our gross profit. Our after paying our invoice, which was $16,538.30. And just remember that registration, the amount that we receive in registration, that covers all the amenities that the race covers, as far as down to the t-shirts, to the safety pins. That is everything that's included there. So this year, after paying for that invoice, we have a net profit, which is amazing to have a net profit, is $14,134.90.
And 10,450 of that was from sponsors. So we're looking at around $4,000 net from the 5K, which is amazing. In the packet, I had provided some financial data. You see I gave everyone pictures, got bar charts, we got pie charts, we got bar graphs, line graphs. Got anything you need. I would like to say that this year's first place winner was 19-year-old Parker Key, and he is from Kings Mountain, North Carolina, at the time of 16 minutes and 32 seconds, .8. So he is a very fast young man. I went ahead and I gave you guys the top 3 in both male and female, and our top 3 were all in the male category. And our 4th person was female. She was also a youth at the age of 16. And she came in at 18 minutes, 32 seconds, .9. And she's from DeBerry. So our top 3 females overall were from here in Volusia County. Well, one's in Lake Mary. So overall, right here in Florida, Central Florida. You will see that in the agenda, there is a proposal for 2024, and that is for $19,005.30. That proposal is based on 1,000 race participants. So just remember that the amount of the proposal does differ from the final invoice, because if there's more people participating, there's more shirts to purchase, more medals, more bananas, more water. So there's more that's more involved with the more amount of people we do have. But over the past 5 years, past 6 years, I've been involved into this race. The past 5 years, I've been doing it alone, working with city staff. And I do have to say that the trend that we're on has really increased, and we did not lose too much going on with COVID. Most 5Ks either opted out of 2020. We'd had our 2020, we went through that, we had staggered races, and we had continuously grown. So we're looking at the guesstimate of at least 1,000 for next year, which is wonderful. That will be our 12th year this year, 2024. So are there any questions that I can help out with on the new proposal?
Kelly, how did you feel that the race went in regards of safety? You had enough of our PD there to help out your volunteers. How many volunteers did you have?
I'd have to go back and look and see, because we have volunteers that run for a cause. They contact volunteers and they come out and they help us out with packet pickup. Some of them are repeat volunteers over the few days. Here in Lake Helen, we had, I want to say, right off the top of my head, I believe 3 volunteers. We had Miss Ann Robbins, Miss Nancy Weary, and Karen Gariantes. She volunteered on the day of the race for giving direction in a very important corner that we usually have issues with. So that was covered this year. As far as police involvement, I don't believe there was any concerns, at least none brought to me. No one got lost this year, so that's good. Yeah. But one thing that we did have this year is we underestimated ourselves as far as participation in our medals. Our medals, actually, we go back, our medals were, we didn't have enough. So we have placed an order for 50 additional medals. I believe 30 people did not receive their medals, and that hasn't come yet, but that was reflected on the invoice that was paid. So.
Okay, well, I'd like to say, on behalf of Zone 3, that it sounds like with few volunteers to help with our PD department, that it was a job well done. Sounds like the management company did a great job. A lot of reports can be pulled from there, and so I personally want to thank you. I think that this brought quite a bit of money in for one of the parks.
I would also like to put out that Choo Choo Crew always brings out the train, which is a big, it's a big plus. Everyone looks forward to take their group pictures with the train. So even after their busy night, the night before, they brought over both trains for the 5K. So thank you for that. Anything else?
I'll just add, having been a runner for as long as I have, as technology has progressed so much, you did an excellent job. The facility of getting everybody through the race, 1,000 people is not an easy thing to do in a small town like this, but it moves smoothly. And I think it's also attributed to the racers themselves, for discipline, and to be able to get out and do this, something that they're looking forward to. And I think with this organization that did this, they've probably got a database that is into the thousands, and all of that I can see is this, is that it'll continue to grow. So again, you did a great job. I'm very appreciative of it. And I came in second in the A's category, so I did get my number.
Congratulations.
I finished second.
You got your medal.
I got my medal and my
Unfortunately, I wasn't all the way up there, so I wasn't last. But when I got up there was no medals left. So
sorry to come into the girl.
We will be getting those out. There was one sponsor that we had that did not. They gave in donation of product rather than money, and that was Kachava. And they donated full-size $70 bags of protein powder. And when we add up how much of that was worth, it was over $75,000 of a donation in product that they gave us. And it was very well received. So we had wonderful donations, wonderful sponsors, wonderful participants, and I think everything went very smoothly this year. In my opinion, I would encourage us to go with Run for a Cause again and waive the formal bidding. In 2018, I went out for bids, and we weren't able to find a company that matches Run for a Cause, where they have everything under one roof. So,
how many sponsors did you have?
This year we had
The reason I'm asking is that on large
22 sponsors.
22 sponsors, and large sponsorships like the MLK, all of our sponsors, we provide them with some sort of a plaque as a show of appreciation, at least a letter, something to let them know that, you know, what they did it from their heart, but it still always helps to have that extra.
Would the city be willing to provide certificates to our sponsors?
I don't see why not.
I think that would be a nice touch.
And we could get a motion from the commission, it might be somebody somewhere.
I make a motion that we get some,
Let me complete it. That we could get some, maybe some plaques or something, a little bit more than a piece of paper.
I make a motion that we provide an award for the sponsors for the 5K.
Motion moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Thank you so much.
Are you voting on the proposal this time?
I make a motion, we accept the 2024 proposal from Run For It Costs. Oh, and waive formal bidding.
Second.
Motion, second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None?
And would the commission like to appoint me again for the 2024 5K?
You think you're gonna get out of this? You're already here, thank you.
Okay. Is that a consensus
Yeah.
across?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're now moving into the quasi-judicial hearings, certificate of appropriateness. The Historic Preservation Board, at its last meeting, used the criteria that was set forth in the City of Lake Helen Land Development Code to review and complete applications and accompanying submittals. Staff requests that the City Commission execute attached certificate of appropriateness for each application. All parties shall be given the opportunity to present evidence through documents, exhibits, testimonies, and other means. All parties shall be given the opportunity to rebut evidence through cross-examination or by other means. The applicants will also be responsible for recording the executed certificate of appropriateness with the Volusia County Clerk of the Court. At this point, anyone listening here had any ex parte communications? Thank you. With any of the applicants that we're about to receive?
None.
Having none said, any motion? Single motion?
I'll ask if anybody has
Okay, thank you. Anybody has anything they want to be separated out of this group?
I make a motion that we accept A, B, and C, and D certificate of appropriateness as presented.
Second by Bishop. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? So moved. 12, Commissioner reports by the snow. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Public forum. This time has been allocated for the public comments on any topic, item or topic that's not on the agenda. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission. Speakers must approach the podium, give their name and address. Do you have any yellow cards? No cards? No motion? Move right along. Moving to 12, Commissioner reports by zone.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I want to start off by saying thank you to our chief for 25 years of service. That's remarkable, and thank you for what you do for our city day in, day out to keep us protected. It's greatly appreciated. That being said, I want to move on to point A, the maintenance and care of City Hall. Recently, I was at City Hall for an extended length of time during our home tours, our 50th year of home tours. It was our anniversary year, and I had the pleasure of manning that station for 2 full days. I was able to look over the building in depth that I hadn't before, just being stationed outside and looking at the windows and all of the unique features of our building. And it made me really appreciate what we have, but also I noticed things that I hadn't before. And so for that reason, I wanted to bring up the maintenance and care of our building. I do feel that we need a list of priorities, and we need to find out approximately how much these things are going to cost us if we want to maintain our building and not see it fall away and for us to lose the building. Some of the things that we already know about are the windows, of course, and then the floor in the records room. There's just so many issues that we're already aware of, but I think it would behoove us to go over the building with a fine-tooth comb and really set a maintenance and care plan for this building. And I think it extends outside of City Hall's building, and of course we have Hopkins Hall, Shuffleboard, et cetera, et cetera. But I know that our Public Works Director is working on a maintenance plan for that. So one of the other areas that I think we cannot ignore anymore, we've already talked about it previously, is the mold remediation. And I've asked that tonight we have in front of us the packet here that includes the bids from the air quality control folks that have submitted their bids in order to remediate that. Keep in mind, I don't think that this includes restoration on one of them. None of them. Thank you.
Restoration is pending.
Oh, right. The restoration is pending. We're hopeful to get a quote for that, but the longer we wait, the higher I fear this will continue to grow. And so I think we really need to get a move on it, to be honest with you. It's not something that can wait anymore. It's my understanding that one of the companies can section off the portion of museum on the lower half and handle all of it, so we won't have to remove our employees. But I'm not sure if that is something that we want to move forward with, and so I bring it for discussion tonight. We can hopefully start moving on. Maybe this may need a workshop as well to prioritize, the care and the projects that it's going to take. Because I think we had, could you remind me, was it 16 million to repair the building fully?
We had the architect, we had the proposal for 19 million. 19 million. That's about 2 years old.
Right, in order to restore it completely. So obviously that's not in our budget to do, but we do need to prioritize this building before we lose it. It's of significance. It used to be our schoolhouse, and it's quite disgraceful to see the condition that it's in now. So hoping to open up a little bit of discussion about not just the mold, but hopefully we can get a workshop to discuss the building.
The mold needs to be a priority, but you can't do anything else inside to get rid of the mold problem. I know last meeting we had talked about going out for bids to find somebody to remediate the mold problem. And is this the only one that came back?
We have 2 complete bids for remediation and a third scheduled for this coming Tuesday.
Are you going to present those to us sometime soon?
The 2 complete ones are small.
You have the 2 complete ones. We broke the project up into 3 parts. First part is the mold remediation. The second part is the AC ductwork cleaning, which removes the mold particles from the AC and insulates them so we don't have the constant dripping of water because of condensation. The third is reconstruction of the false ceiling of chambers, and when the mold remediation takes place, they remove a lot of the molding from the walls and things like this. This company would come in and basically repair all of that work that was done. So we have prices for those 3 sections from, we will have, correct, from those 3 sections from 2 companies. So we're not yet there, but we're getting close.
Who's in the building today?
I'm sorry.
Who was in the building today doing, the gentleman,
The second contract.
the what?
Second contract.
The contract, the second contract, but that's the first time he's been here.
It's the second contract.
Okay.
I agree with Heather. I think that maybe we should. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with Heather. I think that we need to probably have a workshop because I think this is going to be detailed. Just based on what I'm reading, these are from contractors. Contractors, they come in looking for bids to do the work, but based on their statements, I'm just going to go with the very first one, those four level guides. The following those four ranges are opinion-based. This guide used the score N3 number and not the raw count for each species to interpret an air sample report from the lab. There are exceptions at every level. False positives can be caused by a number of different issues. I'm only going to just read that that sentence because I think that maybe if we dig deeper, it might not be as bad as we think it is. It looks really bad, but it could be different types of molds and things like that. And maybe we can get someone to come in and take a look from, I know you said EPA will come in, but maybe the health department and talk to maybe CDC, so we can possibly really find out what kind of trouble we're in. I agree with you. Just the preliminary to the workshop, so probably in your packet is a report from an expert on mold remediation. We paid him to review what the first contractor provided to us, and he will have all of his detailed report and actions that need to be taken. So it's in your packet. Okay. Yeah, he's a contractor, an expert. He was provided to us by June Taylor. Came and looked at everything and told us what we needed to do. From any health agency? He's licensed. He's a licensed mold remediator, and especially in historical buildings, is why we utilize him. So it's all right. Well, I still feel like there should be a workshop. Yes.
Do you feel comfortable bringing that in? Because I don't. I've been sick for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. After spending a whole day down there. And I know somebody else just told me they had issues going in there last week, and they had never had issues before. An employee. And I don't think Roxanne feels comfortable either in there. Because I know she's been getting a lot of migraines. Same thing Dominique had when she was there. So I think the first priority is to try to figure out what we're going to do with the employees, because I don't think it's fair to them in case, we don't know. Are we willing to take that chance with them?
No, absolutely not, and that's actually was going to be my second talking point tonight as well. I know I'm not comfortable with our employees and our citizens entering a building without knowing what we're of at this point. And in an abundance of caution, I think that we need to make a decision tonight to remove our employees from that building as quickly as possible, because our employees are our vast asset, right? That's what you say about any business, and we need to protect them. This cannot wait. This needs to happen now. And I don't want to see my elderly or young citizens entering a building we're not sure of. I don't feel comfortable ignoring that.
What would it take to move all the data processing stuff and everything to another location?
I can somewhat answer that, actually. I was speaking with staff, and we cannot
remove papers, etc. We can move laptops that we can wipe down, but removing files, etc. can cause the spores to move from one location to another.
That's why.
So, right. So it's going to be quite challenging unless we can access everything from the server. So I know it's not an easy feat, but I feel strongly that this needs to happen sooner rather than later. If you'd like to add
I'd really
to
like
this,
to chime in a little bit on it.
please.
We do have mold in there really bad. I was up with the mayor a couple weeks ago, and I don't have any issues. And my eyes were, I actually spoke to Bernie and said, I don't know what's going on here, but my eyes are watering, my throat is closing up. You've got a really bad mold until they tear the mold apart we see. You honestly need to get people out there. I'm working on right now trying to get modular, see what it costs to get them in. It's a long process like everything anymore, but we're working on getting prices to get modular offices put out back there. You still have to hook up septic tanks, all that stuff, but we're working on that right now. You do have to replace the windows. The roof is one thing, but if you don't replace some windows, they're leaking inside every day, have been for years. They were told when we moved in there they were bad. You really gotta sit down. I think you need a workshop, and I think you need several companies to come in, people, to look at that place and see what it's really gonna cost. Because I know they also said they found mold below the building also.
Oh yeah, they said it rises.
We know it's an old building. You know, the roof leaked, the windows leaked. You know, last time I think we had a price years ago, and don't quote me on, I think we were over $250,000 for windows. Getting retro windows, you can't, fixing them windows is not, you want to get retro windows that look just like it, made out of modern materials. You never know the difference, but they won't do that. So I implore you tonight to please do something. You got people in there, you got citizens going in there. You know, and the ductwork, I honestly feel, in my opinion, I'm not professional, needs to be ripped out and replaced. They already leaks up there, that's one of the problems we've had somebody go up there. It's old ductwork. But you're gonna have to rip the ceiling down. All that because you can't get to it. So you've got a big expense, but you really need to sit down and have a good workshop, get some really good numbers. It's not gonna be overnight. Getting companies out here, you can ask Roxanne. To get a company to do anything anymore, you know, they're so busy. I've been after the guy from Modulars for a week and a half now. He didn't get me to contact me back. I've gotten contacted after one time. So now I'm moving on to more.
Is there enough room in the Public Works building to have emergency use of that facility?
The problem we have there is you can't have any citizens come through the gate. Homeland Security with the well there, and probably can't. So that rules that out. I looked at the CAC, the gym station, looked to see if that could be possible in the garage area or something like that. But that's just something we got to explore too. You know, putting in cubicles, is it big enough? It doesn't have air conditioning in that one part. So we have to really weigh out what we're going to do. Find out what it costs to get the modulars put in here. Weigh it out with doing something down there. So can't do it here either because it's just not feasible. It's either going to be the CAC, as far as I'm concerned, or modulars put in. It's about your only two choices you have. And we're working as fast as we can, Roxanne, everybody trying to get answers and trying to get you quotes and stuff.
Well, I'm concerned because we know one of the employees has been out already 3 days this week, I believe. And only last month she was out sick then as well. And I think the quickest way to get them out, if the modulars are going to take too much time.
And it may, but you still have to set up the building down there. I mean, you can get them in there. I'm not saying get it, but again, we talked about equipment the other day. You can't remove that stuff and put it anywhere without it getting disinfected. However they do that, because you're going to spread it everywhere you go. So there's a lot to it. Just wanted to let you know that. But we are working on it. Okay?
May I add something, just because it's a time-sensitive thing? I know a couple of years ago we did this. Tallahassee has the grant for the historical buildings, such as city halls are being used for city hall. If there's a small window for that, do we still have time to apply for that this year for legislation? And that's not going to solve our problem getting people out now, but if we got the grant and then the DeSantis did away with all of them, and I think that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, we were actually awarded the grant 2 years ago, but then the governor killed it. And last year, we didn't even make the list.
So maybe
And
this
I'll have to check on the deadline for this year's appropriation. That's what's called a directed appropriation. The Secretary of State operates the historic grants for renovation of buildings, and that's not directed. They have funds set aside for that separately, so there's another avenue that you can fund.
It's just something we could be, y'all could be working in conjunction with everything to try to.
Those are up to $2 million, but you do have to have professional applications. You have to have plans, everything submitted with the application.
It can take almost a year to receive that money.
But that would be just something to start for later,
Yes.
you know, that you could use for something.
My
If you're gonna have to tear down the ceiling,
restoration.
if you're gonna tear down the ceiling, maybe that would pay to put it back up, just something.
Absolutely.
I've actually participated in a historical restoration of a building, and it was a grant that was given by the state. There were two grants. One was for $250,000, and the other one we just got was for $500,000. And it was because of the historical designation. And one thing, Mark Shuttleworth, thank goodness for him, he was the one that put us onto that because he is the expert in historical preservations. And because of the designation, there's funds out there. The state, federal government has funds available for those particular entities. So, but it is a long process.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis turned ours down.
Is that a political plug?
It's the truth. I mean, it got all the way up to his desk. He turned a bunch of them down. We were just one of many.
Roger, is that on or is the battery on?
The light is on,
Light was off. It wasn't all the way on. How about now?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't all the way on. The Deltona Fire Department, in my last year of working down there, decided to go with all remediation in their fire stations and stuff like that. And they bought a machine that cost them quite a bit of money. And every 6 months it goes, or every 3 months it goes to a different station. And it takes like an hour for it to process the station. Everybody leaves the station, set up the machine, and the stations that are divided in half, like mine at station 62, they do half of the station, then they move it over and do the other half of the station. They also found out, and they use it to decon the ambulances that we have. And so that's got a lot of electronic equipment into it. Now, I don't know what it would cost us to rent one of those things, but when it comes time to move the electronic equipment out of the offices, we can set up a separate tent, put the equipment in there, decon them with the machine if they rent it, or if a company has one that, would supply process, and that would decon the electronic equipment so we can move it into the pods or the gem station or wherever we end up opening the offices at. So that's something that we would look into to see if that's available to us.
I probably spend too much time upstairs, but I have an air filtration system. I used to sell those things years ago, and it I don't know if it can decontaminate the whole room, but it does give you a little bit of space. The one thing that I do know also from working with FEMA, the floods, is that after a while you can't smell it. You can walk into a room, you can smell the mold immediately, but if you stay in there, because that was the other thing that in doing the disaster recovery, knocking on people's doors, and you open the door and you almost pass out, and you're sitting in there like it's nothing. So over a period of time, it would become a problem. I know better than that, but That's the reality where we're at right now. So now, is there any idea or emotion or suggestion as to how we should proceed from this commission?
Mayor, I don't think y'all have enough information to actually make a decision.
No.
Other than to direct staff to get the information as soon as possible and bring back as many options as possible for the relocation of the employees. That you can't order them out tomorrow. I mean, it's just not feasible. So I think, obviously Rick's working on it, Roxanne's working on it. Just direct them to get viable options for pricing as soon as possible and bring it back. Call a special meeting if necessary and bring it back to give direction to staff which way you want to go. Because you really don't, I don't see how you can make a decision on what to do right now.
I think the only thing that we really can do at this time while we're waiting for staff to get us the information is to set up a box or something just outside of City Hall, and anybody that wants to wear a mask going into City Hall, the mask would be available for them to wear. The same thing we did for COVID.
What about, if we're going along those lines, that's a good idea, but could we put in air purifiers, direct staff to go buy air purifiers and set them up in every office, and, we get big ones, 10 more commercial ones.
The ones that I have, it actually can clear out a 3,000 square foot room. I have 3 of them, and one to go in each office space that the staff is in. Something bigger than that, they do have a larger unit that could, but we've got either 2 spaces. You either have to have the office with the finances, and then the administrator's office, and then just close off the rest of the store building. Also, keep in mind that when we close the museum, then that would also possibly affect the echo somewhere along the line. We either may have to come up with
That's a different.
That's an echo.
No, I'm talking about the museum downstairs.
That's separate.
That's not it. Oh, okay, I thought that was an extension. Okay, but we can look into it.
In one of these quotes, it says something about sectioning off the building to where it won't continue to contaminate. I'm sorry, I can't think of the exact verbiage, but we could maybe, I don't know how you all feel about this, but maybe we can install some type of curtain in the interim until we have this information, until we have more information to help with that as well. Because I don't think we can be too careful.
I'm not sure that would help, because that stuff's coming in all the air goes blowing.
Yeah, the building's so old and
Yeah.
so many crevices and stuff, I don't know if that would be good. You'd almost have to, you'd almost have to put a plastic in the ceiling and the walls and the floor to be able to seal it up.
And then you could risk throwing even more because the conditions, making it worse.
Well, as soon as the staff gives us the information, I think we should make a better decision.
Having no motions or suggestions that we can move forward, we just have that on the table and do it.
Well, that's what, I guess, that would be.
That's what we're doing.
When are we expecting that third quote? Tuesday. So, could we make a special meeting for Tuesday evening?
If they inspect, you're gonna have to process that information. I don't know if they do.
That's when we're expecting the quote.
They said there was some Thursday.
Well, right.
There was some today's Wednesday.
Now, what these shops are they doing? Are they taking the samples of the entire building? Is that what has happened so far? That they've taken the samples of?
They take the report that was already done, the testing that was already done, they take that
And they're processing
And
that
then they do
data.
the visual inspection.
Right.
So it's come up with how they do it. So those two items.
In the interim, while we're waiting, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the staff to buy 3 air purifiers for the offices downstairs. I think on Amazon, they run like about $120 a piece or something like that.
We certainly could do that. I just mentioned to Scott, our whole AC system is filtered with HEPA filters now. And those are designed to take out mold. And they've been there. We change them frequently, so we take them out. But if you want additional ones, we can do that too.
Vernon?
Yes.
There's looking at something.
Could I offer some historic information
Please do.
on this? A long time ago, it was probably between 2008 and 11, somewhere in that time frame. It was a major storm and the roof leaked. At that point in time, I don't know if he was mayor at the time, Buddy Snowden and Cookie went up in the crawl space and put in sheets of plastic. Well, when it filled up with water, where did it go? Down the walls. And there was always a problem in Roxanne's office with molded air from way back when, I can't even remember what her name was here as finance manager. So if your companies are doing any kind of an inspection, they might want to start there and see, well, what's in there. I'm sure they're going to be wearing masks, humidifiers, some kind of masks on their face or whatever. But check out in there and see what the mold situation is up in that crawl space.
I think also one of the companies that came in and did an inspection previously said that I-beam that's on the south wall outside of Lee's and Roxanne's office, that there's separation of the wall from the beam and the water's landing on the beam and coming in that way. That's creating an additional problem to the structure.
That was, I mean, the back wall of the auditorium was notorious. You could look up and see black mold on the ceiling a long time ago. I'm not talking about just, 6, 8, 10 months ago. I'm talking several years ago, back when I was a commissioner. So,
You can still see the mold up there
Yeah.
around the vents and stuff.
so that's just a little bit of historic information that you want to check out too.
So this has been going on for a really long time.
Yes. There's no easy answer to this, and it's something that's been going on a lot longer than just in the last couple of years. That doesn't make it any better, doesn't give us any excuses, but we have to do something. And we have to do something almost immediately. Is there a motion?
Yeah, a motion to allow them to run 3 air purifiers.
Is there a limit that you'd like them to spend, or just, do you want to go with it?
I think there's a spending limit already with the administrator. You can, pursuant to our purchasing policy, you can spend up to a certain dollar amount. It's more than Amazon sells them for.
I'll second.
I would just add that the units that they use in Breeze, the ones that I have, they're about $600 a piece. But the company will take these units and they will recondition them, make them brand new for $250. I would be willing to donate those. Send them off to the company. And I used to not work for the company, but I was a distributor. prohibitive. And I've used these in the past. They can, as I said, they can clear out a 3,000 square foot room and be basically, for the most part, home-free. Someone can do some, don't have to take my word for it. I can give you the information, you could look it up, and give you a decision. And like I said, for each one of these units, you send it off to the company, $250, they recondition it, send it back to you.
But what's the turnaround time?
Turnaround time, I couldn't tell you, but it should be pretty quick, because they've been doing this for the last 30 years. And I'll give you more information about it. You know, you can make a decision to leave, but you'll have that discretion. The sooner the better. Because I have one up in my office, and the one I have in my office is not even the top grade, but it cleans out my office. Sufficient that I feel comfortable enough.
I got one in my bedroom, but it only covers about 500 square feet. So it works great. It helps her sleep at night.
Well, I'll give you the particulars on it, and that way we can kind of have at least a ballpark. See this guy coming up here.
I just wanted to go on record.
Hey, it works. Go on record as the gym community group with the CAC. Obviously, if you want to set up shop there, we'll be a team player for that. There won't be any issues there. I just wanted to go on record that. There is Arbor Day, that's outside. There is one party scheduled for George Taylor, the 14th, which is pretty soon. And the only other thing that's really couldn't be moved around, or obviously could be moved around, I'm sorry, would be the league's Art for Heart is set to be there in February. But I'm sure it could be put back here. So there's really, if you guys want to use it, then...
And there's the training class from
Yeah. But that could even be here too. Everything's kind of flexible. Obviously, this has to happen. I just wanted to put it on record that you're good.
At least we're getting started, and that's probably the biggest way of getting finished. First got to start. Let's start.
So in regard to the motion and second,
Yes.
not purchasing, are we on that?
No, because that would still allow them to use the money to him. The other one's recirculated.
I would suggest that, because for the value of them, if you go and look at these online, they're $600-700. And that's today's prices. But they still, the company's been around long enough that you can, the way you do it is that you go online, you pay for it, you put it in a box, you put the label on the box, you pay for your receipt, and they'll take it and fix it and they send it right back.
And I think that is wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm just curious if that ends up not working out. Do we need to formalize it? Or do you not need to have?
Not working out, meaning in what way?
I think I would interpret, Roger's motion was to really go get three purifier systems. And whether we use the ones donated by Vernon, or by new ones, and it may be more than three, to be honest with you. It could be four if it doesn't cover as much as.
Might only need one. Covers 3,000 square feet. That's actually air all of theirs.
I would probably over purify it.
It can be both.
But I think your motion is broad enough, and with our purchasing ordinance and his spending authority, he can address this issue.
We'll get on this tomorrow.
You're just giving direction.
Yeah, we haven't voted. We haven't voted at all. Yeah, I'm just giving that information. Do we have a motion and a second? Do we have a vote? Yes. Zone 2?
Yes.
Zone 3?
Yes.
Zone 4?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Do you need to word that, Amy?
That's good.
Okay.
And we'll throw in the idea of the match too.
Thank you. You again?
Okay, my second point that I wanted to bring up tonight is code enforcement. I know it says something about a committee. I'm not interested in discussing in committee, I would like to just bring forth that I've been approached many times over the time I've been here in regard to code enforcement, and a lot of citizens have expressed concern about telling on their neighbor. And so there are two ways that we can handle code enforcement. One is we can have a proactive person, code enforcement officer, who goes out and looks for these things, or we can have the complaint-driven form of code enforcement. Now, if there cannot be an anonymous complaint, so I think that is where the people who are complaining to us are coming from. They don't want their name to be on a formal complaint. So what I wanted to suggest, and I don't know how the public would feel about this, and I'm not looking for any type of vote or anything tonight. I just wanted to start the discussion about the possibility of having a part-time code enforcement officer by piggybacking off of another city, perhaps, and maybe they could come 4 hours on a Saturday and start with the most egregious and work their way down. I know one of the things that a lot of people love about Lake Helen, myself included, is that Big Brother is not breathing down your neck, and you don't want somebody, shaking their finger at you every chance you turn around. So in order to combat that, my thoughts were maybe the planning board could suggest to us elimination of some of the codes that are more nitpicky that would make people feel that way. Again, I don't know if that's even a realistic goal for us or how we're all feeling about that, but I at least wanted to talk about it with you all tonight, because I know that there are some larger violations that have been brought to my attention repeatedly, but folks want action taken but are not willing to put their name on that complaint. So I'm trying to find a way that satisfies that and helps maintain the charm of our town without eliminating the charm of our town, if that makes sense. So I don't know if anybody or our city administrator would like to weigh in, or Scott, our attorney, on this. I know we've talked about it already, and so I hope I covered everything, but if anybody has any input, I would love to hear from you.
Well, I've had discussions with a couple organizations or municipalities and talked with some of their employees and stuff like that. And there was one, I think she still works in Deltona, would be willing to come to Lake Helen as animal control and code enforcement for about $20 or $22 an hour. So, I mean, that would be a full-time person also. So that's an option we have, is to go out with an employment request to hire somebody to fill the position.
I'm all for a code enforcement officer.
Can't hear you, Lynn.
My thinking.
Check the switch and see what's all good.
My thinking is the sooner the better.
The switch.
She's on.
Sometimes when you pass it over, that switch in moves.
Okay. Is that okay? I think the sooner the better. We've been discussing code enforcement in the last year that I'm aware of. And my thinking is we've got a new CA coming in. I know that code enforcement is falling right now under the PD. I don't find that to be the best suited spot for code enforcement. Our new CA has, let's say, 2 people that works for him, the director and the chief, that report to him and runs it. I think that certainly he should be able to handle one more employee, which I think the code enforcement officer should report to the CA and then work with the magistrate. I don't think that it should be in the hands of the PD, but I do think that we should post the job quickly, because I've looked around some of the areas, and I would be very upset if I've got a very nice home, nice yard, and then the neighbor right next to me, their yard is like boats and cars with tarps, and I get it that some of the people may not have the money. Maybe then we could do a neighbors helping neighbors thing and have to try to get it started, but nobody's going to do anything unless someone with authority goes and actually says, this has to be done, it has to be done, and it'll be fine. That's my I was shocked. I watch a lot of IT, and you see these killer neighbors over dogs and grass and stuff. You know, I wouldn't want that in my neighborhood.
There happened to have been I think it was to the channel in the news station. Code enforcement had got so out of hand that the city, don't remember the name of it, just after the code enforcement was coming up. It was, the thing was so backed up that it created so many problems in the city. We haven't had the advantage of having an officer on code enforcement in several years. The suggestion that you made in terms of temporary or a retired, someone who has the expertise, because what code enforcement requires you to do is to be able to go before the magistrate and basically almost act as though you were a paralegal, and that is very intricate. We do have a magistrate here, but we did use before. We had to go over to Orlando. Now we have a magistrate who can come here, someone that can get into the system, give the proper paperwork that won't get thrown down. There's no sense in going through the whole process if your paperwork is wrong. So I think we definitely need to make that as a consideration. It's not a part-time person, but a part-time or retired person, they have the expertise already, and they may just be using this as something to keep them busy. It gives us an opportunity, but it might be something that we definitely need to look into. If there's anybody, before we go first, would anyone here like to take a break?
I gave you a card, Mayor.
Yes, Governor.
My understanding is that code enforcement, in order to have code enforcement go out, it appears that you're getting, I guess, reports or concerns from citizens. Now, even if we have a code enforcement officer and a citizen has a concern that goes to code enforcement, that's still, please explain, Scott, if I'm wrong, that it would still go through and that name would still be attached. Because that's, it can't be anonymous.
A code, the law says that I'll just read it right now, that a code inspector cannot initiate enforcement proceedings based on an anonymous complaint. That's not proactive code enforcement, though. Proactive code enforcement, there's reactive and proactive. Reactive means, the cities I've worked in, I've been with code officers that driven by code violations, but they're not gonna cite them because nobody's complaining. And that's what I view as reactive. Like, you get a complaint, you go and inspect it. Proactive means you drive by and you see a code violation as a city inspector, you go and initiate code enforcement proceedings, even though nobody's complaining, because there's a code violation. I prefer the latter. I like proactive because you sometimes get these arguments where people say, hey, so-and-so down the street's doing the exact same thing and you haven't done anything. And to respond by saying, well, that's because no one complained about that person, really isn't a good response. Because there's a violation, whether or not people are complaining or not, it isn't really determined. It's a violation of our codes, and if a city employee sees it, it needs to be initiated, in my opinion. But there are cities who will not go out and do code enforcement unless somebody complains. So that's kind of where I see, what I refer to as, and what Heather I think was referring to as proactive and responsive type code enforcement. And the law does say an inspector does not need a complaint to go and start a code enforcement. And it doesn't have to be complaint driven.
But if there is a concern from a citizen, with or without a code, without being proactive, that would still be public record.
Well, if a citizen wants to file a complaint, then
It's
they
not a
have
file, but if they want to call up code enforcement and say, hey.
Well, that's what I mean.
My neighbor, can you come drive down my street because my neighbor has all this stuff?
They got to give their name and address.
Otherwise, it won't be.
Right. Now, if someone calls with an anonymous complaint and the code officer says, sorry, I can't, unless you give me your name and address, I can't go do that. But then the code officer on his own the next day just happens to drive by and see it. That doesn't prohibit him from doing it. It's just not complaint driven by it. And I know that's like semantics there, but it's a bad law. They shouldn't require people to give their name and address when they file complaints, because some people don't want to do that, fear of retaliation. But I do think it's best to try to do proactive. We can't change the law. It is what it is. So if somebody files a complaint, the only way we can take a formal complaint is they got to give us their name and their address and number. Name and address, not number. Just
My
name and
concern
address.
was that we were trying to go around the law with not having anonymous, with accepting anonymous complaints.
I'm not going to accept anonymous complaints. It's just that a code enforcement action is not initiated by complaint only. If you say it's only complaint, then if someone calls and gives an anonymous complaint, we're going to say, sorry, we're not going to go out there unless you give us our name and address. But we have officers, code inspector, who, if they drive by and they see high grass, whatever our limits are, if they see condition of property that they believe is in violation, whether or not somebody complains, they should go and start initiating, and they would be the initiating person. And so that's really not circumventing the law. But it doesn't just do reactive enforcement can be problematic sometimes.
Oh, I understand that. You guys understand my concern, right? Yes. Okay.
I think one of the things that is less of a problem maybe now, there were properties that were abandoned, houses that were left abandoned, that created a number of issues which we've dealt with in the past. But now it seems like properties are going so hot that the house next door to me that just got bought and just put a new roof on it. Been in a state of disrepair for years. But I don't know now. I think we're showing the property and the market may be coming back, and that might be helping us in one way. But it also might, if your property is looking better, your neighbor's got a dump, and you just now spent $300,000 on the house. I think, and you don't want to be the bad neighbor. Someone needs to make a complaint, or somebody needs to. If the city might need to just take that drive by, just for the purposes of keeping the neighborhood looking in a way that would be responsible.
My concern again is just like Scott said, as long as we're not circumventing the law to try to have that proactive, you know, like, you don't want to give me your name, that's okay. Maybe on my way around, I'll see that, you know.
See, wasn't there some move afoot that we were initially, at one point, we had the young man that was going to be the code enforcement officer. He would go out and knock on doors just to let them know that there's going to be, did we do something with that?
That's Officer Trevor Gray, and he's a police officer, and he was serving as the code enforcement officer, the animal enforcement officer. He was put on midnight crew, and so he's really not active in code enforcement anymore. So the daytime crew is taking over doing that.
Caleb. Was it Caleb?
Just so you're aware, I took over after Patrick.
Yeah.
And
right after
the commission decided to go proactive, and that fell short really quick because all the citizens came in here and complained to you guys, complained to City Hall, and said this is retarded. This is why I don't live in Deltona, and caused a big chaos. The commission decided at that time to go back to reactive. The other issue is a lot of our code that are inside our books aren't very clear. It's not like the Florida state statute says this is the statute, this is what stands, this one does not stand. So you go out and you enforce a ordinance to an individual, that individual goes to City Hall, they read it a different way, and now you're in a dispute whether or not it's an ordinance violation or not. That's all, I'm not saying all of it, there's a lot of that will cause a problem. And then the other issue that we've had recently after that is once we violate them, they don't do nothing, what comes from it? And then people kind of just say, well, why should I fix it? They ain't gonna do nothing. The magistrate was passing everybody, giving them an extension for 90 days. That doesn't, I mean, if I write you a ticket, you don't pay your ticket, they're gonna take your license. So there's something, you know, to react from it, but in code enforcement right now, there isn't.
Then we had JC that got to become a felony violation. What's it? Felony.
Litter.
Litter. Felony litter, because it just kept going up and up and up. JC, remember in the back. JC.
There is an issue with code enforcement when you deal with homestead property, when someone's home is homesteaded. You can sit there and levy a fine on them, and you can't do anything. It's, you can't foreclose. Normally what you do is the fine accumulates, and then you record it on the property, and it becomes a judgment on the property. And if it's non-homestead property, then the city can proceed with foreclosure, collection of the judgment. But when it's homesteaded property, you can't do that. So there's, typically when you see these fines accumulate to hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they're homesteaded property, the city's kind of hands are tied on what they can do. They levy the fine, but they can't really push the issue.
Can we, then the new buyer comes in and says, I didn't do these fines, can you relieve them?
What's that now?
I said, then the new owner, when they sell the property, comes in and says, you know, you got this lien on my house for these fines that I didn't create, can you bring them?
Actually, those will actually be discharged with closing. Because they won't survive the closing, because they know it's homesteaded property, and they file a certificate of homestead, and the lien comes off the property.
And we do have the fourth property that's up on Matanzas that's been there since it turned into a dump and turned into, that was way back in Patrick's day, to try and get some information on that. It's just property. But can we just take this break for a minute?
Thank you for hearing me on that.
5 minutes.
I forgot to grab one of my copy of the agenda from City Hall. So when I got here, I stole one of yours.
They're old, aren't they?
No, that's today.
I got something for you. Read it.
But I'm saying, there's a test that came back, it was very little bit old.
What'd you say about your grandson?
Certain kinds of lead. So if, whatever, you did see all this something with the roof or something? Roof on, and I thought that was supposed to resolve everything.
Rise it out, but not take it down. But then, yeah. You know, there's gonna be AC, you know. Fall inside that wall.
I know it's not a popular suggestion, but one, obviously, got to protect the families first. And then secondly, you gotta, y'all need a thorough cost, not a piecemeal cost. Auto cost, and then a cost of demo. New, because that's the two costs you need. You know what I mean?
Why not even?
That's not electrical, that's not. So you're gonna.
We already know that.
Yes.
It's just not gonna happen.
No, you never are. And so, and you're gonna spend, and then, so they're gonna say, these costs, and you're gonna try to pull your way to, where are we gonna do this money? Play millions of dollars, and then that's all happens. So that's, nothing's gonna be taken. Well, you just don't do you get how much looking into the code. Well, you still got to run the well, you know, just said, you know, citizens can approach the village. If it's really do rough that's on top of that, that goes separate from everything. And you're about to say, y'all want to do a 1.5 million additional millage tax, not million, millage rate. Tax rate. You do a bond and pledge tax rate. Other times, you got water revenue, he's crazy. Pledge, gas tax revenue, all this stuff. But if you're saying you want to get a tax revenue, look at the tax laws, then you'll find out how much it is. That's when you want to get it. And if they approve
You got
you may come in here and you're
get ballots for student precinct and we sell 50 at a time. And it's about how precinct ourselves, and then we label, we have to sign off, and we have to show her, and then we sign off. Because it's the same precinct.
You're still gonna have to move everybody out. So you might as well do that now. We're also construction trailers.
Which means there's no labels, no address labels, because the address labels are actually.
No, he has three. He says, look, we send it all. We ship them all. That really, I mean, it's crazy though, right? I think we're 10 years I think if I heard I only let people for 2 days, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. After that, they're lashing. Really cold, yeah. We usually have Christmas Eve dinner, and we usually, I usually have to put drinks in the refrigerator and stuff. We have Christmas Eve, we just put them outside, just cold enough. Probably running fast too.
Let me make sure I got it.
Steelers play all game because we're still they're out the middle of the field. Yeah, before we will get their field again.
You get it?
I think it's in the wind chill.
I thought that was such a big thing.
Dolphins Chiefs will be 30 minutes. I bet the Chiefs are our mission.